Hello students, welcome to Mahamana Academy. Today we are going to discuss the Indian politics chapter, era of one party dominance. Right. So in the preceding chapter or in the content also we have discussed how India got independence in 1947. Right. And then we had some problems, and three important problems we had discussed is about the nation integration, how to integrate different states which are divided on the basis of British province, princely states, and many of the princely states were also reluctant to join the nation, Indian as an India nation. Right. That was the first problem we have discussed. And then the second problem, how to establish democracy. Right. So the second problem was democratic structure. How to build that democratic structure. And the third problem, economic structure. This we are going to discuss in next chapter, planned economy. Right. So there we will discuss the economic structure, what difficulties we have faced. Here, national integration we have already discussed in first chapter. We have discussed the regional aspirations, and also we have discussed how we have integrated or pursued different princely state regions. Right. So in this chapter we are going to cover this problem. Right. How to establish that democratic structure. So it's more about the party politics, because in India we have representative democracy. We have a kind of democracy which is representative, means that we are electing someone, MP, MLAs, and they are representing our interest in the system. Right. So basically we have participatory and representative. Participatory, we are the voters, we are electing someone, and then they are making decisions for us. Right. So in that way, a party politics. So second problem, we are discussing how to establish democracy. So here we are discussing the party politics, and here we are discussing the one party dominance system is because what happened after 1947 when India got independence. We had a very important party. At that time it was not party, it was a movement, national movement. Okay, and that was Congress. Everyone knows about it. Right. So Congress was a national movement that was very popular, and because of that popularity, that party ruled the country for many years after independence, and that's why the one party. Right. And we will discuss how it was one party, how we have established democracy in this chapter, and we will also discuss the party system, different parties at that point. Right. And then in this way we will proceed this chapter. Right. So coming to the next slide. So here you can see the one party system. It's a kind of cartoon. Right. If I will tell you the things, the background of the election, then you will understand this cartoon. So it's basically, you can see the election committee. Right. So, or maybe we can see, we can do one thing. We can discuss the content first, and then we can come back and we can see how we can relate this, because it's basically about how the election committee is making balance. Election commission is trying to have that election, and then there are many people. They are the kind of mismanagement you can see, and then there is Nehru. Okay, so this is the cartoon. It's not that much important. It is given here because it is in your book, and it sometimes when you feel like you have studied very much, so it's a kind of a thing that you can feel good. Okay, a kind of fun. Okay, so that it's a kind of things from where you can relate your contents. Right. So it's nothing. It's given in your book, and that's why we have given here. Coming to this chapter, now here the content starts. Right. So coming to this chapter, what we are going to see in this chapter, So in this chapter, I have told you that we are going to discuss the electoral politics, right? The electoral politics, here we are going to discuss the electoral politics, right? So in order to understand, first we have to understand the free and fair elections. What is free and fair election? Free and fair election is where, there is a proper established channel or proper established system that manages the election, right? And we had, in India, is adult, universal, adult, franchise, right? So universal means all, adult means above 18, and elections. So basically universal adult franchise. Free and fair election is, universal means despite having your identity, either the caste, either the class, either the gender, anything, everyone has that opportunity to give votes. Everyone, during that time when we were in the colonial grip, we have seen how, there was no universal adult franchise. Why? Because the more people, there was a chance that if you are more educated, you can give more votes. If you have more wealth, you can give more votes. You can give 3 or 2. It's just an example for understanding. So if you have a wealth, you can give more votes, like 2 or 3. But if you are poor, you can give only 1 vote. So that system doesn't exist here, right? Here the system is free and fair election, right? And then we have, second one is a domination of Congress system, right? And then we have domination of Congress system. And then we will see the opposition parties. So basically in this chapter, what we are going to discuss, how we have ensured democracy through free and fair election. And then we will discuss the domination of one party system. And then the party politics. Party politics is because we are already discussing the Congress party when we are discussing one party dominance. And then in this chapter, in the opposition parties, we will discuss the other parties other than Congress parties, right? So that is the party system. So this all we are going to study in this chapter, right? Okay. So, you can see the scenario, if you can relate. The one thing you can see here is poverty, right? Here is the poverty you can see. Here is the democracy, which is our ideal. We always wanted to have a democratic structure. And then the dilemma of Nehru, right? So, here you can see that how, the question is how we can afford a democracy with so much of poverty. So this slides depicts that picture, that how we can, afford a democracy with that much of poverty and poor people, right? Uneducated people. So that dilemma you can see in this slide. Okay. So what are the solutions? Solution is already, we have already made our mind clear that the solution we are going to have is democracy. The idea of democracy, right? So we have opted for the democratic politics. We have made our constitution. Okay, so one thing which is very important from MCQ's point of view, and they ask it and usually to confuse you, our constitution signed on 26 November 1949, right? So that was a period when we had made our constitution. We have signed that in 26 November 1949, but that came into effect. When it was came into effect and when we used to, celebrate our Republic Day, that is when it came into effect, 1950, 26 January, right? So that you have to be very clear when it was signed and when it came into force. Until then, the interim government has ruled the constitution, ruled the politics. So basically, what happened is after the election, Nehru became the prime minister and the other ministers were also elected, right? The other ministers was also opted for that. But before that, during that period when the constitution was in making, there was an interim constitution and different people were part of that ministry, right? So I will send you the chart if required, and you can see how during the period when the interim government was in the effect, Nehru was foreign minister and he was also holding the important position, and after independence, when the constitution was made, he became the prime minister, and then the Patel also had some ministries, and that detail I can send you in a or you can also find it on net, on websites, that how the members of interim constitution and the members of new constituent assembly. If you will find in this way, you will get the names of those people, right? So there was a Ministry of Domestic Affairs, Foreign Affairs, and then the Defense Ministry, right? Education ministers. So that was interim constitution before the making of constitution, and then after making of constitution, the well-established ministry under the constitution, right? And then one important here, if you can see this, Election Commission was set up in 1950. This is very important from MCQ point of view. And Sukumar Sen, he was the first Chief Election Commissioner at that point. You can also go and search the present Chief Election Commission at this point, so that maybe if they can ask, you will be clear. But the Sukumar Sen, that you have to remember. And one thing you have to remember is that the first election held, although it was held in 1951, but because it took so much of time, like it started in the mid of 1951 and then it happened till the 1952. So we consider that election in 1952. So the first election held in 1952, first election commission was Sukumar Sen, and then we have election commission was set up in January 1950. Okay. So the challenges we are discussing here, right? So what was the challenges? You have seen that picture of poverty, right? So you have somehow are clear with what could be the challenges at that point. But here by one we will discuss about the challenges, right? How to make possible the election when there is a poverty, when the people are uneducated. So that challenges we are discussing here, right? So the first challenge is the vast size. India's vast size means the vast population. There were end number of people, end number of voters. How to get votes from them? That was the difficulty. Literacy rate. People were not educated, right? So there was a chances that if people are not educated, they are not prudent and they cannot make a good decision. So that was also a problem, right? And then, okay. So when the election happened, right? So, like for example, in current time, you can see that the parliament election. Let's just see Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha election happened not all together, na? It happened in a phases, constituency wise. So basically, when you have to take a vote from the end number of people, you have to categorize region, right? So you have to make that constituency, right? So that the election would be easy. Even at but during that time, that making that constituency was also very difficult. So the delimitation of drawing boundaries for the electoral constituency, that was also very difficult task, because there was already a problem of the national integration problem there was, and then how to sit and make that decision to categorize that constituency, right? So that was also very big challenge at that point. And then one thing, as a woman, I can also see that the one important problem at that point was that the names of women were not mentioned in the electoral rolls, right? So they were like a wife of Mr. X, daughter of Mr. Y, right? So basically, their name was not mentioned as their own name, but as a second citizen. They were being treated as a second citizen, right? So that was the problem. Nearly 40 lakh women were not recorded in the list. They were simply as a wife of this, daughter of that, right? So that was the problem. And then the foremost problem was illiteracy and poverty, right? So many of the people were poor, and it was very difficult to ask how to make that sure that these people can make a good decisions, right? So it was a big test. So it was the first big test. It was not an election for India. It was a test, because if you see, let me just clean this first. So where you can find a democratic structure during that time in 1947 in USA, in Western countries, right? So these countries are financially well established. The people are educated. So for them, having a democratic election is a very good, is a very easy task. But in India, where there is a poverty, where the people are not literate, people are not educated, then how is it possible to make that sure the democracy can be established in this kind of country as well? So that was a big test for India, right? And you will also see some criticism in the next slide about that, right? Okay, so here you can see that criticism from the editors, right? And maybe they can ask you in the MCQs if because this is very, this phrase we still use. It is a biggest gamble in the history, because it is a, what is a gamble like? It's a kind of taking risk, right? So it was also a risk from our perspective, because our country was not developed. People were not literate. So it was a big test, and it was the biggest gamble in the history that despite being the poor country, we resorted for the democratic way of election, free and fair election. So that was the biggest gamble of history. It was by the Indian editor. Okay. And then he was also criticized, Nehru was criticized, that Nehru would leave to confess the failure of universal adult franchise in India. So like it also shows how he was criticized on the ground, that if he is resorting for the universal adult franchise, ki haan bhai, everyone should be given that right. But some people are not educated, na? Some people were illiterate at that point. So imagine the educated person, that person who knows who should be the prime minister, or who should be the, who should be the leader of our country. That person value, and the other person who has no knowledge about anything, who does not know about anything, he's apolitical, and that person value is same. Imagine, the educated person value is same, the person who don't know about anything is same. So basically, it's a universal adult franchise is not a simple task in poor and illiterate country, right? Okay, so some dates are also important from a MCQ's point of view, right? So the elections held from October 1951 to February 1952, and that's why we call it 1952 elections, right? So it took 6 months. 6 months for campaigning, polling and counting to be completed, right? And we got and we have, see the since most of the part voted in 1952. So, from starting from the October to February 1952, it has taken the 6 months, because most of the, votings happened in 1952, right? So this is the fact-based thing. You should remember. If not, you can at least remember how many months? 6 months. 1952 election. Why we consider this as 1952 election? Because it started from October 1951, but it lasted for 1952, February 1952, and that's why we called it 1952 elections. And then we can see some of the criticism against the decision of Nehru of, conducting a free and fair democratic way of election. Okay, and then we can also see some other challenges and criticism, right? But one thing you can see is that it was successful. It was not failure. We have taken risk, but at last it was a successful attempt, right? The elections happened. The prime minister, the MLAs, the MPs were elected by the people, and they formed the government, right? So the criticism which were coming from all the sides, that that started coming from, in a positive way. So the Times of India, they have confounded all the spectives who thought. So here you can see that the positive thought after the successful implementation of free and fair election, the Times of India is now positively saying that we have confounded all those skeptics. Skeptics means all those criticism who thought that the introduction of adult franchise is too risky. So we have somehow shut down the mouth of those critics people who were telling that this could be risky, right? And then the Hindustan Times, they also claimed that there is a universal agreement that the Indian people have conducted themselves admirably in the largest experiment of democratic. Largest experiment. Can you see the words? Largest experiment, big test. Because democracy till now was only existed in the countries where there is education, where there is wealth, where there is a resources. It is only in India that in illiterate country we have taken this risk, right? So that's why this kind of words are being used to denote that. Okay, so coming to the the way how the election was conducted. So in this point, if you are above 18 or if you know how you go and you have a machines to give your votes, but that was not from the very initials. What happened during the initial phase of election in 1952, that there was a blank paper, right? And then you have to put that in a box of that candidate you want to vote, right? So that you can see. Okay, so there was a blank ballot paper, and that you will that will be stamped by the facilitators, and then you have to put that in a box, right? So that was in the initial period. Okay, and then that system changed again. Okay, so And there was when the people were putting their votes in a through the blank ballot paper, so the symbols were written both outside and inside of that box, right? And then so what happened is, from first and second general election, okay, this should be very clear that in first and second general election there was a blank ballot paper system, but from third to 13th general election, so first elections happened in 52, right, and then 57, right, and then after that, after 57, in 62, what happened? Third to 13 elections, now the this system has started, which was called the ballot paper system. What is ballot paper system? So, like for example, there is a paper, right? So the names of different candidates are written, right? And then you have to tick it, the one you want to vote, and then you have to put it in the ballot box. So that was the system. Okay, so you have to put a stamps on the name of candidate. So you will write it, or you will put a stamp on that particular candidate. Or suppose if I don't want to vote this person, I want to vote this person, and then I put a write and stamp there. So that way you have to put that in box, right? So that was the manual system. Okay, but then the electronic system also started. That started from the 2014, right? 2014 general election, and then here you can see the EVM system from 1990s. So what happened in EVM system have already started in 1990s, right? So you can see that how the EVM system has already started in 1990s. But many in the state elections, they get helped from the EVM system. But in the general election, that Lok Sabha elections, that was first introduced in 2004. Can you see this? So let's just see first general election, second general election, blank ballot paper, and then from third general election to till 2004, we have used the ballot paper, right? And from 2004, we are here introduce the electronic system, right? So this is the way of way of getting votes counted of the people, right? Okay, so the first three elections. Now we are going to discuss about the results of elections, right? So what happened in first three elections? Congress got the majority. Likewise, the BJP is getting majority in the current time. In the same way, the Congress got the majority in all three elections. So basically, in the first three elections, you can see the first election, 364 seats Congress won out of 489. So 364 out of 489. Can you see the difference? The other parties were also competing, but Congress got the majority of seats in the Lok Sabha, and then they formed the government, right? So they got the vote from each and every region, except they sometimes ask you the MCQs about that. Except in the region means not in that, except this region. In the other region, the Congress got the majority, but not in Travancore, Kochi, the part of today's Kerala, Madras and Orissa. And the second thing you have to remember is that CPI, okay, the Communist Party of India, secured the second seat, secured the second position with 16 seats, right? And then you can see the many popular faces at that time who were elected at that point. Rajagopalachari Patel, Vallabhbhai Patel, he became the minister, and then Jawaharlal Nehru, he became the prime minister. In this way, you can see and it is because the charisma of those leaders, right, during that time, that during the colonial time, they led the national movement, that they become very popular, and because of that charisma, they got the seats, they got the votes from the people, and then they formed the government, right? So, and then in 1957, we have discussed the 1952 elections. Coming to the 1957 second general election, okay? So in Kerala, the Communist Party came to the power. So basically, in the state election, you can see during after independence, Nehru and the Congress party, they have won the seats from all these states, right? But not so much from the south countries like Madras and Kerala and all. So what happened during 1957, that the Kerala in the state election, they have won the seats and they formed the government. So it's a very important question because it is the first party after the Congress which has won the seats of the people and formed the government in any of the state, right? So from that perspective, it is very important. And then you can see it's the first non-Congress government now. It is a which has formed the power at that point, right? But and then you can see the electoral system. Like, okay, so there was also one thing which when we are discussing about the Congress and the non-Congress party that they have won. First thing which I want to discuss in between, and then we will go forward for the clarity. There is a two system of election. Basically a two system. There are many ways to have elections, but because at the basic level you can just understand two system, which is in our country. So the first one is FTPT. Like, first past the post system. Right, here you can see FPTP. Right, first past the post system, and then we have proportional representation. Okay, so what is first past the post system? Here you see first past the post system. First past the post system. If you are interested in sports, you might have competed in running, right? So what is the rule of running? That whoever comes first will win the match, right? Will win the competition. So in the same way, the first past the post system is, it doesn't matter whether you have whether it doesn't count your votes. What it checks is that if you have a majority of votes, if you come first, you can form the government, right? So the first past system is very simple, and it is very easy that whoever comes first, that they can form the government. Although there is a majority system also, that at least you should form a majority. What is majority? So majority is a kind of 50%, right? So at least if there is a 50 seats, so at least you need to win 25 seats, and if you can't win the 25 seats, you get alliances from some other party so that you can at least have a majority. But the basic structure is, if you come first, you win the election, right? So that was the first past the post system. But in our Rajya Sabha election, so it's a Lok Sabha election system. Lok Sabha election. In Rajya Sabha election and in the president election, what we have system is PR system, proportional representation. Now let me tell you what is proportional system. So proportional system is what it is. It is a kind of it is basically used for the multi-member party, right? So if suppose I'm giving vote to someone, right, and I'm from region X, and then someone has given a vote from Y, someone has given vote from X, from Z, right? So here the votes one party has won is 4, 5, and here is the 6, for example, right? And now the other parties, they have won, there is a party, the seats there is 10. Suppose a seat is 10, right? The other smaller parties, they got 1, or the other small party has got 2. Okay, so by this you can see, okay, so if you will calculate, it's a 30. 3 reason means 30. 5, 4, 6. What it is? So it is basically a 15, right? So you have got the majority. It is first past the post system. But in PR system, the other votes are been also valued. So like suppose if the MP, if there is a seat in the Rajya Sabha, there is a seat for 30 members, right? And your party has won the 4 seats. One party has won the 6, and the other party has 4, 6. Suppose the other party has won the 2 seats, right? And there is a seats in Lok Sabha is 20. Sorry, Rajya Sabha is 24, right? So basically, if you see the first past the post system, the one who has 6, he is the winner. He can have the party, right? But in PR system, what happened is, if there is a 6, 2, 4, and there is a 24 seats, then the 8 members from party X, they will become the part of that process. 12 members, because they have won the 6 seats, they will become the part of that member, and 2 members. So basically, if you imagine, if you consider, if you consider this as party X, party Y, party Z, right? So here in 24 you can see it is a PR system, proportional representation. So here you can see 8 member from party X, 12 member from party Y, and then the 4 members from party Z. Everyone is getting their proportion, and that's why proportional representation, right? So this is a system in which the minority will not be, would not be ignored. So that's why this system is very good. But because we were just trying to have democracy, and we were at the stage when the people were illiterate, people were not able to understand what is PR system. So they opted for the FTPT system, that is first past the post system, right? Because it's easy to understand, everyone can understand, okay, who comes the first can win the match. So that's why the reason that the first past the post system we have opted for the electoral method, right? But that has some consequences, and that could be the reason why, the Congress able to secure all the votes during that 3 general elections, right? So that you can understand, and you can see as one of the reason why there was a one party dominance, because you don't know the actual votes, na? Because there is no PR system. You don't know how much the minority. Because if someone is getting 8 marks and 8 votes, and someone is getting 2 marks, the 8 marks is get calculated because this party is going to form the election, form the government. But these two votes, someone has voted for someone now. So that vote is not is getting wasted now. It is not getting calculated. So that's why this was much fairer system, but it was more complex system. That's why India adopted for the first past the post system for the Lok Sabha elections, and for the other system like Rajya Sabha elections and president election, we have our proportional representation electoral method. So these are the electoral methods we have discussed, the 2 important electoral methods, and we have opted for the first past the post system for the Lok Sabha election that we were discussing. Okay. So, when we are saying the one party system, one thing we should understand is that it is not the autocratic way. Okay, what is autocratic, authoritative, democratic, right? So democratic is where there is a freedom of speech, where the people are electing their ministers. But autocratic system is where there is one leader and they are somehow not allowing other parties to run, right? So India's one party system is very much different from other countries' one party system. How? We will discuss here, right? So the other countries where you can see the one party system is Myanmar, Belarus, Egypt, right? Cuba, Syria, right? And then here also. And we will discuss the reasons also. So the first 3 countries, China, Cuba, Syria, they don't permit other parties to run. They don't allow other parties to run. And that's why there is one party system. You can see the Myanmar, Belarus, Egypt, Eritrea, is that there is a one party system due to military measures. It means there is a military rule, right? So they basically prioritize military security than the democratic structure. So in order to have that military structure, they allow only one party. And then we have Mexico, South Korea, and Taiwan also. They also have a one party system. Okay. So you can see how, we will discuss in later also that how the Mexico one party system is different from India. Right, South Korea, Taiwan, they were also effectively one party dominant system. But unlike the other around the world, the Congress party was very much democratic condition. Right. So Mexico, South Korea, and Taiwan, you can also show that there is an election happening for the namesake only. Right. But in India, there is no kind of namesake. We were, proper going through an election. We were, we were following the system. We were having a free and fair election. But after that, after having everything, the Congress parties managed to have majority of votes is because of their charisma, because of that the work they have done during the national movement, right? So the story of one party dominance in India is different from all other countries, right? Okay. So here we are discussing the Mexico system. Okay. So Mexico system is also kind of elections happening, but what is difference you can see is that let's just take me first the marker. Okay. So here you can see that the important party there is a PRI, right? So originally the PRI, the PRI was very important party like the Congress system. Like, okay, the other parties also existed in a name only to give the legitimacy. So basically you can see that this is also a mixture of various parties. There is also, elections is happening, but that election is happening to show that credibility, to show that legitimacy कि नहीं भाई happening, election तो हो रहा है, but despite that this particular party is, getting votes. So this is only for the namesake, right? Unlike India, where there was proper election, even CPI also got 16 seats. They have formed the government, they have formed the government in Kerala during the state elections. So there was a competition, but it was because of the character or behavior of the Congress party that they allowed, the people allowed the Congress to form the government. They have voted for them. So that was the reason. So the story of one party dominance of India is very much different from other parties, from other one party system of the world. Here one thing you can see, as I already mentioned, some of the, important leader or you can see the ministers at that point, the photos of those ministers, it can help you to, to locate. Like for example, Raja Gopalachari, and only one woman in the whole picture. Okay, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. So they were the important people who were holding some of the ministries, and that list I could also provide you, and you can also check on website the list of ministers after the constitution making, and you can also see the list of ministers during the interim period, right? So in that way you can just relate and see the pictures of those leaders, so that you can relate the important leaders at that point. And they had also contribution in constitution making, nation building, national movement, right? And also in nation building, because Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he also helped Nehru during while pursuing the different princely states. So yeah, they are the important leaders. So the kind of toleration I was talking about the Congress party. So here you can see why they, in Congress, the Congress, there was no one ideology of Congress at that point. It was a diverse ideology. In fact, some party used to run under or within the party with other ideologies as well. Like there was a socialist party which emerged from the Congress, right? So that we have here, you can see there was a diverse group. There was a diverse group, like whose interest was very different. Like some were the peasants, some were the urban dwellers, the people living in the cities. Some were the lower class people, some were the upper class people. So there was diversity within the Congress, right? And then, so it was like one thing, one which is important thing about the Congress at that point is a rainbow-like social coalition. What is rainbow? Rainbow is a mixture of that 7 colors, right? So likewise of that, Indian Congress system was also the mixture of that diverse interest, right? The diverse religion, caste, class, languages, right? So that was the reason why it was called the rainbow-like social coalition, right? Okay, so that I was discussing that how the different parties also merged with the different ideologies. How you can see that with the different identities and with different ideologies, they continue to exist within the Congress. You can see the tolerance level. Tolerance, what is? The endurance, to tolerate something. So the Congress was somehow tolerating the diverse identity, the diverse structure, the diverse ideological mindset of the people. Some were the socialists, some were the liberalist, right? Some were having their own idealist. Even some were also criticizing Congress internally. So that diversity you can see within the Congress, right? And this happened is because it was the structure of pre-independence time. During that time when the national movement was going on in India, so that pre-independence time, there was different organization and parties that formed the Congress party, and that's why even after the independence, that structure continued to allowed, right? And then you can see some of the Congress parties like Congress Socialist Party. This is within Congress party, and then you can also see some opposition parties that later separated from Congress, but they used to stay in. They have stayed in Congress for some time, and they have also criticized Congress for some of their work on some issues. So that you can see the tolerance level, the diversity in the Congress party, and that could be the one reason why the Congress existed for the 3 general elections without any opposition. People have voted for them because there was a diversity of interest in that particular one party, right? And there was also a willingness, to talk to the people. If someone is not, happy, then there was also a tendency to talk to the people, to build consensus, to have negotiations, to talk about that. So there was a tolerance and consensus in that particular party. The same tolerance level, right? In a coalition, there was a greater tolerance. Despite that internal differences, their ambitions of various, their aims and ambitions were accommodated, and they were very, even when the group was not happy, right? So even when the group was not happy, there was no major fight. They come, sit together, and they have their talk, right? And there was also, the choice of, leaving the Congress. If you're not happy, the Socialist Party that emerged from the Congress. So in the next slide, we are going to discuss about the party politics other than Congress. So then we will see that how some of the parties are also emerging from the Congress. So you can see how the different ideologies, different identities were existed in the Congress party, and there was higher level of tolerance. So here we can just, if we have to conclude, we can see that the reason why, Congress existed for first 3 elections is because first we can see the electoral method. We can see one of the reason. Okay, first past the post system. And then we can see the second reason is the important role the National Congress Party has played, International Congress Party has played in the national movement during the pre-independence period. So that charisma, that popularity they have gained, that's why they have existed. People have voted for them. And the third important reason why they have existed is because they had a larger or the deeper level of tolerance, negotiation and consensus kind of tendency. And that's why they allowed different party, different identities to exist. And that was the reason why the Congress existed for such a long period of time. Right? So you can see how, tolerance and the management system. Right? Anything opposition wanted to say, they used to hear that. They used to listen that. They used to reform that. Right? So there was one phrase is called that opposition, opposition within. So there was a opposition within. So, inside the party, there was no fight. It was like a kind of a party is running, and then the people are within that party. They are criticizing the government works, and they are, reforming themselves. So it was a very good structure, and that kind of tolerance level at this point you will never find in any of the party, right? Because there is always, if in the current time you will say there is a proper manifesto, electoral manifesto the party have when they are contesting election. But at that point the Congress level had that kind of tolerance that they used to listen and they used to reform them if someone is criticizing within the party. So that was a kind of management system within the Congress. And the same thing. Like how, different factions means how the different factions, you can say that how the socialist faction, how the liberal factions and the other factions, those or you can see simply the groups, right? So the different groups that used to exist between within the Congress party, and that system of factions that helped as a balancing mechanism, right? So that is the reason, why Indian system, if you can see here the Congress system, right? Why we described that, competition was we used to describe that period as a Congress system is because there was a competition within, right? The opposition used to oppose Congress and the Congress used to reform that. There was a diverse identity, so that's why that period was called the Congress system at that point, right? So it was not just a party, it was a kind of system where they used to tolerate everyone, they used to listen everyone, there was a consensus, and that's why they have their long tenure after the independence. And there was also check and balance kind of thing. The people, they used to check each other's work. And one thing which we are going to discuss in the next slide about the other parties. So while discussing about those parties, we will also find that how somehow those parties have their traces in the Congress. They used to work first. They used to work within the Congress, and now today you can find the traces from the Congress. So the traces of non-Congress party that you can also find from the Congress party, and that balance you can see in that party, right?